So welcome back to the DeTank TV studio here at Tent London. My name is Max Fraser and it's a pleasure to welcome Moritz Waldemeyer to the stage today. Moritz, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Can you explain your work in one or two sentences?
I think what all my projects have in common is that they just join various disciplines. They're always based on technology, electronics, but they do bring in other disciplines like architecture, fashion, design or art. In the world of design, I'm sort of one of the few people who have this kind of technical background, and I guess I have a little bit of a sensitivity also for the aesthetic side, and maybe that's what makes me sort of relatively unique, but there are more and more people coming in now that have a similar skill set, so it's very interesting that this kind of world is expanding, I think.
And how do you think technology is changing the face of design as we know it traditionally?
I have this little hypothesis, which is that the classic design, like designing a beautiful chair with interesting lines, has sort of reached a point where it's very hard to come up with something new, because we've got about 50 years of history now where people have continuously tried to do exactly that. And I think the technology that's coming in now gives people just a new dimension to insert into innovation, and that's why it sort of stirs up the world of design a little bit, and it becomes a very important element, because the traditional design is just very, very hard to really innovate in that anymore.
And then let's talk more specifically about some of your projects. Mm-hmm. Can you explain the project that you did with Hussein Shalain?
So there were 5 dresses that illustrated fashion history from about 1900 until now. So every dress had to cover about 20 or 30 years of fashion history, and they would just morph between the different styles. So just to give an example, there was one dress that went from the 1940s into the 1960s. And this particular dress was also the most complex of all of them. It required a large number of electric motors that were all controlled to sort of pull on wires to change the shape of the dress. So it goes from like a skirt longer than knee height into a petticoat skirt, and then into a sort of a very short dress from the 1960s. So yeah, that was the principle behind all the 5 dresses, that they just merged from one fashion period into the next.
And what has been the most complex project that you've worked in?
The most complex project was one of Hussein's projects. It was the video dresses. It was a real challenge because to create these dresses we only had 4 weeks. So it was the most intense project ever, just working day and night, trying to come up with a structure to create a video dress, trying to find the right materials, trying to find companies that would help us realizing the project. It was just absolute madness.
You also worked on a project with Rabbi Haj Gallery in collaboration with Corian. Can you explain what that project was all about?
So I created 2 games tables. One of them is a ping pong table, and you can play the classic Pong game on it. And it does have these user interface elements. It has touch sensitivity, so like a touchpad on a laptop you can control the game, and it's got a display that just shines through the Corian. And I took these elements and I just put them into a very, very clean and simple design, just like a square table, and it's been very successful.
So Moritz, how do you think that the advances of technology are going to sort of change and shape the material landscape in the future?
Well, I think what we're seeing right now is a lot of people get access to sort of digital manufacturing techniques. Things like CNC machining and laser cutting and rapid prototyping, they all sort of filter down and become a lot more accessible to like every designer. And they used to be just accessible to large corporations. So I think we will see a lot more of these manufacturing techniques sort of coming into design. And if you have a look around London Design Festival, you will see quite a lot of examples for that.
On that note, I'd like to thank Moritz Waldemeyer for joining us here in the studio. Thank you, Moritz.
Cheers, thank you very much. All right.